Good morning, my dear students. Today we are going to see Act 2, Scene 8. In this scene, we will see Salarino and Salanio provides very useful pieces of information which increases our curiosity. Shylock has almost gone mad, crying out in the grief and anger, "My daughter, oh my Christian ducats." He seems to be more shocked at the loss of his money than his daughter. Then there is a rumor that a big ship, perhaps of Antonio, was lost in the English Canal. We also learn how Antonio bids farewell to Bassanio with tearful eyes. There are hints of coming tragedy. In the beginning, we will find that Salario and Salanio talking to each other. Salario tells Salarino that Graciano is present on Bassanio's ship, but Lorenzo and Jessica are not there in the ship. Salanio tells Salario that Lorenzo and Jessica went out in a pleasure boat. Salanio tells Salario that when Shylock came to know about Jessica's elopement with Lorenzo, he went mad with rage. He shouted, "My daughter, oh my Christian ducats." This scene is taking place in a street of Venice. Salanio and Salarino enters to the stage by talking. Salarino says, "Why, man, I saw Bassanio when he sailed. Graciano was gone along with him, but I am sure that Lorenzo is not in the ship." Then Salanio replies that villainous Jew, that is Shylock, raised the Duke with his outcries, who went with him to search Bassanio's ship. Salarino replied that he came too late, for the ship had already sailed. When the Jew raised the Duke, and when they both came to search for Bassanio's ship, they both were too late. The ship already had sailed. There the Duke was informed that Lorenzo and his loving Jessica had been seen together in a gondola, which means a pleasure boat. Moreover, Antonio assured the Duke that they were not with Bassanio in his ship. So by the dialogues of Salario and Salarino, the audience is clear that Bassanio and Graciano sailed together, and Lorenzo and Jessica went out in a pleasure boat. Now Salanio is talking about Shylock. "I never saw such a confused frenzy of anger, so strange, shocking, and frequently changing in mood as the vicious Jew gave vent in the streets. My daughter, oh my ducats, oh my daughter, gone off with a Christian, oh my Christian ducats. A sealed bag, 2 sealed bags of ducats, of double ducats stolen from me by my daughter. She has stolen my diamonds also." These are the words of Shylock. He is uttering these words in the street of Venice and walking all around. "I will ask for justice, and that the girl should be found. She has the diamonds and also the ducats with her." So Salanio is informing Salarino and all the audience that after the elopement of Jessica with Lorenzo, Shylock became mad. He is filled with anger, and his behaviors are very strange. Shylock is more shocked just because he lost his all ducats and diamonds, not because he lost his daughter. Shylock has almost gone mad, crying out in grief and anger. He seems to be more shocked at the loss of his money than his daughter. There Salarino asks why all the boys in Venice follow him, crying about his diamonds, his ducats, and his daughter. Salanio informed that good Antonio had better be careful that he can play up on the day that the bond expires, otherwise he may have to pay for this. So here Salarino says to Salarino that our good Antonio must be more careful, otherwise the Jew Shylock will revenge of his loss of money and daughter. Salario tells Salarino that the street boys consider Shylock mad and throw stones at him. Salanio says that it will cost very dear to Antonio if he is unable to return his money on the appropriate day. At that time, Salarino is recollecting some memory. "By Mary, you remind me. I had some talk with a Frenchman yesterday, who told me that in the narrow sea canal between England and France, there had been wrecked a ship of our country with a rich cargo. I thought of Antonio when he told me, and wished in silence that it might not be one of Antonio's ship. Salario says that he has came to know from some Frenchman that Antonio has lost one of his rich merchant ship. Salanio asked Salario to inform Antonio about this, but he should convey this in such a manner that Antonio does not get a shock. Salanio says, "You had better tell Antonio whatever you hear. Do not tell him suddenly, it may upset him." After that, Salanio says that Antonio is very noble soul. Salarino then explains how Antonio took leave of Bassanio. It was a touching scene. Salarino and Salanio go to meet Antonio in order to cheer him up. Salarino says, "There is not a kinder gentleman walking on this earth. I saw Bassanio and Antonio part from each other." Bassanio told him that he would hurry on his return, but Antonio replied, "Do not do so. Do not spoil the business for my sake, Bassanio. But stay still, the time is ripe for getting your object, and as concern the bond, do not let it interfere with your schemes of love. Be cheerful and let your thoughts be mainly directed to your love suit, and to make fair display of your love, such as shall best further your proposal there." At that, his eyes being full of tears, he turned his face away and extended his hand behind him. Then, wonderfully affected by his love, he shook hands with Bassanio, and so they parted from each other. Here, Salarino is explaining how Bassanio and Antonio parted. This dialogue and the upcoming dialogue of Salanio is discussing about the love between Antonio and Bassanio. It talks about the strong friendship between Bassanio and Antonio. We already read that Antonio's eyes were full of tears when he said a farewell to Bassanio. Salanio says, "I think he loved the world only because Bassanio is in it. Come, I beg of you, and let us seek him out and cheer up with increased heaviness of spirit with some pleasant diversions or other." Yes, let us do so. So at the end, we can see that Salarino and Salanio is moving out of the stage by saying that they will go to Antonio and make him happy. Antonio is very sad because Bassanio left to Belmont. This scene is coming up with a signal of tragedy. The tragedy is, if Antonio's ship is wrecked, it may not be possible for him to pay 3,000 ducats that he borrowed from Shylock. And we already heard that Shylock is waiting for a chance to play revenge because he lost his daughter and all his ducats because of a Christian.